Alright, let's dive into something that's been shaking up the golf world lately. Here's the deal. LIV Golf just announced they've secured a lead investor to keep the lights on until 2030. Sounds like a win, right? But here's where it gets interesting, and a little messy. Despite this financial lifeline, there's still a ton of uncertainty around whether their star players will stick around. Personally, I think this is a classic case of financial security versus personal brand loyalty, and it's fascinating to watch unfold. What makes this really interesting is the timing. Scott O'Neill, LIV CEO, dropped this news right after Saudi Arabia's public investment fund pulled their backing. If you take a step back and think about it, this feels like a high-stakes game of chess. O'Neill's racing against the clock to keep LIV afloat, and this new investor is his knight in shining armor, or at least, that's the narrative he's pushing. But here's the kicker, he's keeping the details of the deal under wraps. No names, no numbers, just a vague promise of stability. From my perspective, that secrecy raises more questions than it answers. Who's this mysterious investor? And what's their endgame? One thing that immediately stands out is the scale of LIV's financial challenges. We are talking about a tour that's been burning through billions, yes, billions, of dollars. Their current model: 14 events a year, each with a $30 million prize fund. That's not sustainable without deep pockets. And now, the plan for 2027 is to scale back to 10 events at $10 million each. In my opinion, that's a massive pivot, and it suggests they are trying to cut losses while keeping the ship afloat. But here's the catch: players are getting equity in the business. That's a bold move, but it also feels like a last-ditch effort to keep them invested, literally. What many people don't realize is how much this situation mirrors broader trends in sports. LIV Golf isn't just a golf tour, it's a disruptor. They lured stars like Bryson DeChambeau and Jon Rahm with massive contracts, shaking up the PGA Tour's dominance. But now, those same stars are at the center of this uncertainty. O'Neill's comments about them being some of the biggest stars in sports feel like a plea for loyalty. Personally, I think this is where things get personal. These players aren't just golfers, they are brands. And brands have options. DeChambeau's flirting with YouTube Golf. That's a whole other layer of complexity. It's not just about where they play, it's about where they see their future. If you ask me, the real story here isn't just about money or contracts. It's about the future of golf as a global sport. LIV's interesting format and global format, as O'Neill puts it, is the selling point. But is it enough? The PGA Tour has history, tradition, and a loyal fan base. LIV has cash, or at least they did. Now, they are betting on a new investor and a scaled-back model. What this really suggests is that the golf world is at a crossroads. Will LIV's bold experiment pay off, or will it fizzle out? And more importantly, where do the players fit into all this? A detail I find fascinating is how this situation reflects the broader tension between tradition and innovation. The PGA Tour represents the old guard, while LIV is the new kid on the block. But innovation comes at a cost, literally. LIV's massive spending was always going to be unsustainable without a clear path to profitability. Now, they are trying to pivot, but it's unclear if their stars are willing to pivot with them. From my perspective, this isn't just about golf, it's about the business of sports. How far can you push the boundaries before the bubble bursts? This raises a deeper question: what does loyalty mean in modern sports? Players like Cameron Smith, Tyrrell Hatton, and Dustin Johnson are in a tough spot. Do they stay with LIV and hope the new investor delivers? Or do they explore other options? Personally, I think this is where the human element of sports comes into play. It's not just about the money, It's about legacy, reputation, and where they see themselves in 5, 10 years. And that's what makes this story so compelling. So, here's my closing thought. LIV Golf's future might be secured on paper, but the real battle is for the hearts and minds of its players and its fans. Will this new investor be enough to keep the stars aligned, or are we watching the beginning of the end? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this is a story that's far from over. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.